Hey y'all, it's Shalonda. Welcome back to my channel. If you're anything like me and you're finding that you have a lot of events to attend and you're saying yes to all of them, well, stay tuned and see how overcommitting to things is probably breaking your budget. So y'all, I was just like recently going over my budget and I was looking at all the things that I have going on over the next, I would say 30 to 40 days. So I'm looking basically through like August to early September. I'm like, whoa, my schedule just got super full. These are all the things that I have to do over the course of the next month. And they all are starting to be kind of costly. So these aren't things that are being pushed on me. These are events that I want to attend, that I'm happy to attend, events, even some of them that I have suggested myself. But once I started to look into my budget and start to think about my budget and savings and retirement, I started to think about like how these events are adding up. And I really didn't think about that when I agreed to the events or I set up the events myself. I want to clarify that I can afford these things, but just because you can afford things doesn't necessarily mean that you should spend the money on those things. It's not necessarily about affordability per se, but more just about being responsible and being wise with my spending. When I started to think about this month in particular, I just looked up and I just had like all these things that I was going to be doing. Then I started to think about like, what could I have done differently? The first thing that can be done, y'all, is just to space out the events. I had a bunch of dinners scheduled within like 2 weeks. One of the reasons was that I had a dinner scheduled in July and one of my good friends had to cancel, so they suggested that we reschedule, and then the date ended up being in August. I already had a dinner scheduled in August. Some of my teacher friends and I were scheduling a dinner, and it was going to be late August, but people have vacation stuff going on, and then the date we settled on was early August as well. And then lastly, my mom's birthday. And I guess I didn't really like blank on her birthday, but we do the Benihana's thing and you only can do that within so much time. I had already had these other dinners, so then we still had to do our dinner together, you know, the chef's table. And so we still have to do that as well. All those commitments to those dinners are already set, and then I didn't really want to cancel them. And I actually want to see these people and I love these people and I want to hang out with them. But if I had thought about them, I could have pushed some of them out to like mid-September and end of September instead of like pushing them all together in this August date. The other thing that, and this doesn't necessarily apply to my situation, but another thing that we have to learn to do is just to say no. My events weren't really things that I could have said no to, simply because when they were planning them, I wasn't thinking about saying no to them, and I was sometimes the one who was setting them up. So in this situation, it didn't make sense to say no. But I know sometimes when we have certain events, our friends want to get together, we just simply don't want to say no. We don't want to sound negative. We have to be able to say like no, put no in our vocabulary and be comfortable with that no being our no. The other thing I want to get at, y'all, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is to be paying attention to what you have going on in your life. This goes to like organization. Like when I was setting up one of the dinners, I looked at the calendar, but I wasn't looking at it in relation to other things on the calendar. The other thing is you have to be able to determine what's important to you. See, sometimes everything can feel important to you, but like for me, like obviously everything that I've named isn't important, but it all has like a reason for me. After I was thinking about it, I was like, how could I have maybe gotten some, like, every dinner that I'm going to is with a different group of people, and it wouldn't make sense for me to necessarily combine them. Like, they know each other from different events of mine, but none of them are like really friends with each other, so it wouldn't make sense for us to have like one big group dinner. But like, for example, the state fair. Now the state fair is not something I have to do. It's something I want to do. But I do want to say, like, last year, if you watched my previous video, you know, last year I didn't work. And so I didn't attend the state fair. I was trying to be mindful with my money and I did not go because I had I think I was starting my job right around when the state fair was starting. Then I didn't go to the state fair probably since 2018. I was really looking forward to going back to the fair. And so once again, if I had been being intentional, being mindful, I would have planned that better. And also that is potentially something I can drop, but like I really don't want to drop. Obviously the wedding that I'm going to, I'm not going to drop that. And then there's an engagement party of another individual that is super important to me, and I'm not going to drop that. One of the other things y'all was noticing is like you can maybe downsize an event. So one of the dinners was actually not going to be a dinner. It was going to be a breakfast. So my friend and I were planning to meet for breakfast one Saturday. I was like, hey, do you think we can just meet for like coffee and pastries instead of a whole breakfast? Because after I started thinking about it, I was just kind of like, I'm not in the mood to spend $30 on breakfast. Now people might be like, girl, $30 on breakfast, but breakfast can easily add up to $30 if you go to a nice restaurant. I mean, I'm looking on the menu and the pancakes was $12 on their own. That didn't even give me no sides. And you get coffee, you pay tip. It's easy to add up to $30. But then you go get you a coffee and a pastry, that's a good $10, $12. You can spend time with your friend and you are still like having the same effect, but you are saving some money and not breaking the bank on that particular event. Instead of on the front end planning my events, now don't be like me, y'all. I'm now working backwards and trying to figure out how I can save on the events that I already set up. One thing that I was thinking about that I'm doing now is more thinking about planning what I'm going to spend when I get to those dinners. Now I'm kind of like, okay, if I'm going to multiple dinners or multiple events, how much money am I allotting to each event, so that I know, like, at least within each event, that I am budgeting what I want to budget within each event. When you're having these events, hopefully you are planning them ahead of time. If you're not planning them ahead of time, then you at least can be thinking about like, okay, now that I have these events set up, let me at least try to be more mindful and decide how much I want to budget spend, or each event that I'm going to attend. I don't know if I mentioned this, but also unexpected events. So if your calendar, so I meant to say this earlier when I was thinking about the events and like putting them on your calendar and planning and organizing them. Also be thinking about unexpected events that might come up. The destination wedding actually was planned maybe May or something like that, so that was already like on my calendar. I started filling up other events as this summer and this month went on. The engagement party, which is actually the same weekend as the destination wedding, is more of a sudden event. Like the engagement happened for the couple and then they also set up their engagement party. If I hadn't had all these other events on my calendar, then the engagement party, which I'm not really sure how it works. I don't know if the meals are paid for me or if I pay for it myself, but either way, it was another event to add. And so when you have your calendar full like that, you know, it makes it a little more difficult to add unexpected events that you would really want to be at. So anyway, y'all, I just want to come and talk about how overcommitting yourself can really blow your budget and affect your ability to save if that's what you're trying to do, and talk about some ways that you can better prepare yourself for events that you really want to attend so that you can have some wiggle room in your budget to do that. Thank y'all for listening, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.